Hello, this is Johnny Jackson. Today I'm going to tie my version of a bullet quill. It's similar to a Spanish bullet quill, but a Spanish bullet quill is tied more Perdigon style with an oversized bead. I tend to tie this fly with a bead that's more in line with the size of the body of the fly. I find it very effective during, whenever mayflies are out or when I'm using it as a search. Also works very well as a dropper off of a hopper. So with that, let's get started. I've already placed my hook on the bead. I'm gonna smash the barb to make it barbless. Get my hook in the vise. I'm tying this today on a fully mill FM 1200, which is a standard 1XL nymph hook. You could also tie it on a jig hook. I'm using Hogskin Creek copper tungsten bead in 7/64 inch size or 2.8 millimeter. So I'll start by doing thread wraps right behind the bead. Get my thread on the hook, break that off, and then I will extend wraps of thread down the hook to just before the curve. I'm also using Coq de Leon, Whiting Farms. I don't know if this will show up on the camera. Whiting Farms CDL, a tailing pack. CDL makes great tail fibers. They're very stiff, they're very durable, and like a Perdigon, these are used Perdigons. And I'll take a bundle of 4, 5, 6, about 5 or 6, and I will place this on the hook shank, and we'll put it on so that it's about 2/3, about 3/4 of the length of the shank will be the length of my tail. And I'll take a few wraps just to see if I got the right length, and I think I do. I'll place my finger right at that bend of the hook and just pin those CDL fibers right on top. And then now I'll wrap forward and wrap up to the butts, and I'll trim that butt end off. Go ahead and make a few more thread wraps. Okay, now I'll come right back to the starting point there at the hook. I'm also using, for the body, it will be a turkey biot quill, and this is in a blue wing olive color. And I take a fiber from the longer side of the vane, a vane from the longer side of the feather, and I will trim off maybe a 1/2 inch of that. Okay, I've got my turkey feather. I'm laying it right against my side of the hook shank, and I'm taking forward wraps, trapping that shaft, that vane against the shaft of the hook. And now I'll wrap back to right to where the tail feathers start. And at this point, I'm going to build a taper on this fly. So I'll wrap back up to the bead, and then I'll take progressive wraps down the shank, back to the bead. And each time that I make a progressive set of wraps, I'd go less distance. So I always travel back to the bead. First I'm doing like all the way to the feather, and then I do maybe 3/4 of the way to the feather, and then I do halfway to the feather. And now I've got a nice little taper to it. So I'm going to grab my hackle pliers, and I'm going to grab the very end of this feather, and now I'm going to wrap in the same direction. I'm going to take progressive wraps up the hook shank in the same direction as what I was wrapping my thread, and each wrap touches against the prior wrap. You don't want to put too much pressure on it as you go, because the feathers are a bit brittle and will break if you apply too much pressure. But you can see as I'm doing this that it's forming a nice segmentation I'll get one more wrap here. And at this point, I'll wrap 2 wraps behind, over the quill. I'll come back and I'll add one in front of it, another one behind it, and another one in front. And now it's locked in, and I'll take my scissors and I'll trim that off. And now I'll put a couple of more wraps, and I will use my whip finisher and put a 3 or 4 wrap whip finish on it and trim my thread. And now the fly is almost done, but not quite. We'll finish this with some Solar Res. I use Solar Res thin hard UV resin. I like the Solar Res, it dries very quickly. And I'll just put 1 drop on it. I'll use my nozzle to spread it around on all sides of the fly. I got more on than I need, so then I take just a little piece of a paper towel and I dab it on the fly to remove any excess. And now I am ready to cure this, and I'll use my torch. And the Solar Res, generally only 4, 5, 6 seconds, and it is done. And now we have a beautiful quill fly that looks like a blue wing olive mayfly nymph. Let's go fishing. Thank you.